This is the Peter Greenwood Show at the Glasgow Film Festival. Sitting directly opposite me in salubrious confines, which are... It's empty, but there's a buzz, wouldn't you say?
Yes. It's that sort of weird, non-specific, could be anywhere on Earth vibe of an international hotel.
Yeah. Could you tell me your name and what you do, please?
My name is Richard Hawkins, and very occasionally I make movies.
Let's talk about the film you're here to talk about. It is called Think of England. What is Think of England?
I'll do the pithy pitch. Think of England is the making of porn films on the Orkney Islands in the Second World War for the Allied effort. Morale, propaganda troops for the boys at the front.
Now, how true is this story?
I'm always wary of answering this because I like the mischievousness of not fully, divulging everything. But it certainly could be true, and there's certainly a lot of currents around it that are true, and yes, its concept is utterly and completely plausible, which in my books makes it true.
Yeah, as long as it exists on Earth with people, doesn't even need to have people in it. As long as it exists on Earth, could be true.
It could be true, and worse still, I loathe the based on a true story lameness. I mean, really, come on, get some balls and make it up properly.
Yeah.
I'm a fiction writer. I don't have to tell the truth, but I do rather like the idea that the audience have to retrain themselves to go hunting for it.
Yeah. So, how did you come up with the idea for the story? Because that's not an ordinary kind of motion picture.
I mean, there was a couple of inspirations, if that's the right word. There was actually a rumour of the Nazis conceiving a project to make porn films in the Second World War on the occupied Channel Islands forcibly using British talent. But I investigated as much as I could, and there is absolutely no corroborating evidence whatsoever. The inspiration was more about... There's two things. I've always been fascinated with actors and acting and the process of acting and the toll of acting. And then when you put that into kind of World War II and you realise the entire country put on a costume for 4.5 years and acted their way into completely different personalities, the mildest, meekest of people suddenly becoming homicidal, pathological, violent slaughterers, is you realise we are all at it all the time, and nothing kind of shows that more than film. And I was fascinated by the idea of where is the outer boundary of what is and is not permissible in credible movies. And I sort of decided that there are two things that cannot be acted. You cannot act actually having sex, and you cannot act actually killing someone. Those two will always be for real because the consequences will always be for real. The director can't say, cut, and everyone goes off for lunch and there's no issue. If you actually kill someone, you've actually killed someone. Both parties' lives will be changed forever. So you realise there's an outer boundary of what is, and it's not permissible, and I wanted to go and explore that.
So, when you were putting the film together, when you were casting the film,
yes,
how did you pitch it to actors? Because I imagine actors get a lot of weird descriptions of the film, but this one in particular.
Yes, I mean, fortunately, the script existed and we could partly, give confidence that it wasn't a completely disgusting pursuit. But I think that the characters, actors love playing rich, complicated characters, and I think it was the characters that pitched themselves rather than us having to say, look, this isn't actually a porn film, this is a serious piece of filmmaking. So, yeah, I mean, they were very brave. I mean, particularly the two leads. It did take... We sat and talked it through at enormous length and discussed between us how far we were willing to go, and so everyone was comfortable by the time we got going.
And what was the shooting process like? Because you've got the World War II, the 40s element of it, but then you've got the porn of it.
The whole thing, I actually really dislike the word meta, but the whole thing became almost overwhelmingly meta. We had these actors playing actors being uncomfortable about having to do these things in front of camera, with the actors themselves uncomfortable doing these things in front of a camera, with other actors playing a film crew working in impossible conditions to shoot these people, being filmed by a real film crew on almost equally impossible conditions, making this film. So it just, where anyone was speaking, like the actors were speaking their lines, and it seemed like they all applied to every single person on set.
Was there ever a point when you confused an actor with an actual crew member? You were like, can you pick that rig up? Oh, wait, no, that's not you. That's
all the time. I mean, we were such a small crew. And it was also like, what were props and what was the real stuff? I mean, and we used, half of our equipment was, original 40s equipment, and the other half, was contemporary stuff. But yeah, I mean, everybody, yeah, it was, when the moment someone's shouting action and cut, it can get very confusing when it's actors and crew shooting actors, and yeah, the whole thing gets a bit muddled. With regards to like the intimacy stuff, as we call it these days, again, that was another layer of kind of complication, because you could argue the film is the advent of the intimacy coordinator. I mean, it's a film about people talking through how they're feeling uncomfortable about doing what they're doing, and then the actors talking it through with an intimacy coordinator on set. So again, all these were sort of crossing back and forth and back and forth. You were permanently moving between real and fiction, and getting very, very lost between, which, interestingly, is also the film. The actors, or certainly one of them, gets very lost between two shores.
How much of the script changed from when you first had the idea to filming to what is the finished product? Were there any really painful cuts you had to make?
Yeah, I mean, not necessarily cuts. I mean, I'm a real believer. You always write a film 3 times, as you probably know. You write it when you write it when you shoot it, and you write it again when you edit it. But the moment we went outside, I mean, we were shooting on a really tight schedule, 21 days, and with pretty small, in modern terms, tiny crew. And the moment we went onto the beach, I didn't write in a force 10, and it was completely impossible to shoot what I'd written. So we were just sort of improvising our way through, and literally on the hoof, you've got to sort of close your eyes and imagine what could or might cut together. So the opening of the film was really not what I wrote at all. But the magic of filmmaking is generally all the best bits happen when it seems to be going terribly, terribly wrong.
That is a fantastic bit of filmmaking, because even if on the day it seems like everything's on fire, people are upside down, there might be a body in the alley.
That's most days.
When you get to the edit room, it's like, oh, that looks smooth, that looks good, that'll be nice in there, let's slot that in.
Exactly, and you really do rewrite. How does this car crash of material go together? And what was a boat is now a plane, but, as long as you like the plane, it's the problem.
Yeah. So, what's been the audience reactions to the film?
Really surprising, really, really positive. It is, it's a truly unusual film. And I realised my biggest ambition was that, they'd come out and their first thought would be, what the was that? And their second thought would be to Google it, and we've definitely had that kind of response. Nobody can quite say what it's about, and I like that rather than fear that. It's very elusive. It's very elusive, and yeah, I think it's been generally positive. It's confused people because it starts in the vein that it's likely to be one of those British, charming period, facile movies, and goes somewhere where they really don't expect it to. It gets dark, let's say.
That's what I really liked about it, because it could so easily be like you said, just
you're waiting for it, aren't you?
Yeah.
That next one of whatever that film was.
Yeah. And it just doesn't.
Yeah. I mean, I wanted it to be, which is an odd thing to do when you're making a film, I wanted it to be permanently unsettling. So we almost had a different rhythm and a different grammar in every passage had its own new rhythm and grammar, which doesn't make for this sort of honey smooth film that you just slide through. It keeps you unsettled. And I was pleased that an audience didn't object to that, because it is not the normal way you would make a film.
Yeah. In many ways, it's a perfect film festival film.
Again, it's certainly a film about film, if that counts. But I think it is, and I think film festival audiences particularly are more predisposed to be adventurous in their watching.
Yeah. What is next for you and the film? Where does it go after Glasgow?
Well, after Glasgow, we are in Manchester in a couple of weeks. And these are so far. I mean, more will turn up. And then we go to London in late spring. And after that, we will pursue a release, and which, is sort of fomenting as we speak. And, so, we will do that journey of getting it out there. And and then decide its sort of final fate.
And do you have another film in the pipeline? A sequel?
I do. I took so long making this one. It sort of feels like, London bussy analogies. But I do. It's called Most Dangerous Girl in the World. And the idea is to shoot it this winter.
Wow.
But that would really take some going. But, the producers I work with doing this, I always have that thing, well, maybe we should wait another 6 months. I don't think we're ready to go. And they say, it happens now or it never happens, Richard. So you almost have to just jump. I mean, film, there is that point where you just leap off the cliff and hope that parachute does open.
Yeah. Like, you can plot and plan and try to go through every word on the page, but then somebody says, now or never.
You just go. And even if you had all the time in the world, I'm not sure, there's probably a point where you start undermining, rather than sort of constructively building.
Yeah, it's like that in this job, because I could sit and I could read every word of your life, but sometimes it's best to just jump in, talk to people.
And another, that's also what's great about film festivals. It is pretty much the only time you will ever go and watch a film on the big screen with virtually no prior knowledge of it, without anyone having corrupted your own ability to make your own opinion and judgment, and that's what film festivals are, and I love that. So you afterwards you get to speak to people who've watched the film without having read The Guardian or whoever or Time Out or whatever they read, just their own judgment, and it is surprising how that these days so often differs from critics.
Yeah.
Like
I hesitate to use Rotten Tomatoes. I'm not a fan of it, but particularly this year, so many things are getting really high audience scores and really low critic scores, or really...
And vice versa. I won't name them. There's some films I've been to, the obvious ones I've been to see recently, and that are so well reviewed and are so gobsmackingly crap.
Yes. Yeah. It's like, did we see the same film?
Exactly. And you almost get the sense of the whole audience looking at each other thinking, is this the right version?
Yeah, did they press play on it's all in a file, did they press play on the wrong file? What happens here? Thank you. Where can people find out more about you on social media and about the film?
It sounds funny, but me, a little bit harder, because I absolutely loathe it. But it does come with the terrain that I have to be in it. So, think of England.com or .co.uk, I can't remember which one, but we're relatively easy to find. If you avoid me and just go straight to the film, we're out there. You will find us.
One of the things I'm really kind of curious about the film is when it goes to America, is all the Americans sitting, as we said, wow, this is just a typical English film. It looks lovely. It's very comfy.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you excited for that conversation?
Very much. I mean, I spend a lot of time in America, and I look forward to showing it to people. I find, there's much for such kind of upfront people. I'm not going to insult the Americans because I love them, but I'm always surprised that they're quite delicate. Mm-hmm. Of delicate sensibility when it comes to certain material.
Yeah.
They're particularly if it's not meant seriously. They sometimes take it all a bit seriously and think of England. It's partly serious and partly mischievous, and you're not. It's a satire. So I really do. I'm puzzled. I'm no idea what they're going to make of it, and it may be nothing. They could walk out and just be completely nonplussed.
And projects like that are kind of, as you said, mischievous. Like, try to explain bottom to an American.
Exactly. I did a play over there, and way back when, and it ended with a certain word they didn't get, because it was a sort of English word that they now would get. But as they were all filing out, they just determined that this word, a bit like rosebud, that this word was, if only they could understand this word, this whole play would make sense. Well, you're thinking, I really don't think it would make much difference. But anyway.
Anyway, I got caught up chatting. Sorry for that, but thank you so much for your time today. Lovely to meet you. Good luck with the film.
Thank you very much.